the question is, in light of what I said about health care and senior care, elder care, and she approves, right? And she remembered my name and she used it, so I'm very pleased. I want your vote. But how will Obamacare have an impact, or will it have an impact? And what does the state need to do? So let me. And Medicare. Well. Okay. I'm less an expert on the new head of Medicare than I am on some other things. Now let me just drill down to nursing homes. In our state, the lowest nursing home operations that are Medicaid operated, as far as I know, are about 65% of residents in any one facility. And that goes all the way up to almost 100% Medicaid. That reimbursement rate is not set by the federal government. It's set by state government. But remember that half or more of the money that we get to pay to nursing homes as a state government are actually federal dollars. And this administration, going back 16 years, has refused to reimburse nursing homes at a rate that would allow them to sustain their Medicaid beds. That's why we lost 40% of that industry over that period of time. That's why we have so few beds at this time. Now, you might say, well, we're living longer, and that's true. We're going to need those beds eventually. There's also another reality of living longer, and that is that people who are in nursing homes require a higher level of care, because we've built wonderful places that people can live, and we want to keep people at home for longer periods of time. We need, as a state government, to recognize that we have a bigger obligation to this industry. So Medicaid, I control, or the state controls. And we're going to make sure that we reimburse at rates that allow nursing homes to stay open. With respect to Obamacare, a lot of that will again kick regulations back to the state to decide how it's going to handle some of that. And you want me doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Since there seems to be quite an equality of education because it's done out of towns rather than, what do you think the role of the state is in helping to even out?
The question is, because there appears to be an inequality from community to community based on individual Board of Educations, what would I do about that?
And their finances.
And their finances. You're absolutely right. Well, I've done some things. As mayor, I participated in a lawsuit against the state of Connecticut. And the premise of that lawsuit was that our state constitution says that we are going to provide an adequate education to all children regardless of where they live. And the courts ruled that. The second portion of that lawsuit said that it is a reality that it's more expensive to educate an urban child than it is a non-urban child. The expenses are higher, the issues that you're dealing with are greater, the age of the schools are older, lots of those factors. They also agree with that. So as a mayor, I joined that lawsuit. I've already done something about it. On a broader basis, as governor, I am going to hold people to higher standards. It's not good enough as Americans simply to say we offer an opportunity for learning. We have an obligation as people to make sure that we prepare the workforce of the future. In Connecticut, we have the most rapidly aging workforce in America, and we're not training the next workforce to replace it. One of the scariest statistics, and this is a bright audience here, one of the scariest statistics I've heard about education in Connecticut is North Carolina spends $81 per capita. So for every citizen of North Carolina, they spend $81 on community colleges and vocational programs, including high school. In Connecticut, we spend $34. That's a state that's been taking our jobs for a generation and a half. And if we don't change our ways, if we don't do a better job in our urban systems, if we don't invest more in community college degrees and vocational training programs, high school and post-high school, then they're going to take another generation of jobs. And in a state that is most rapidly aging workforce, and one of the most rapidly aging states in total, in fact, our senior population will grow by 65% in the next 20 years. We need a more competitive environment. One of the things we do to have a more competitive environment is to make sure that we have a better trained workforce. Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't Obama put the TARP money in the infrastructure and jobs?
You know, this is a pretty good.
That was a big disappointment.
This is a pretty good audience we got here. You and I agree that more money should have gone into infrastructure, and more money should have gone directly to local communities, because local communities are in the infrastructure business. I mean, some of the projects that I did as mayor of the city of Stamford, I built a large number of schools and improved the ones that we didn't build new. I spent $107 million on upgrading their sewage treatment plant, meeting nitrogen removal standards that won't take effect for another 5 years. Sidewalks, roads, other infrastructure. We knew how to do that. And I think that President Obama allowed the Congress to defeat what he wanted to do. He gave in. And I urged him in a meeting to put more money in infrastructure directly to local communities. Unfortunately, I didn't win. Maybe if I had been governor having that argument, we would have won. Anyone else? Well, I want you to, yes, sir, and then this will be it.
Some people are fearful of turning the entire government over to one party.
Yep.
You won't have the ability to say no to proposals that are coming out in the legislature, as we have now. We have an obstacle to getting some of these bills out. Will you be able to stand up and act as a leader and prevent some of the excessive things that have happened or tried to happen in the government of Connecticut?
Sir, you and I have known each other for about 20 minutes, and you already know that I'm capable of saying no. I ran a city for 14 years. I was elected as a Democratic mayor following a Republican mayor. I had a 40-member city council. I said no a lot. That's why I was able to turn my city around. I'm going to be very clear that divided government has not served the people of Connecticut well, because it has not been good government. In fact, I'll be even clearer. Sometimes I call what this mess is in Hartford a bipartisan train wreck. Everybody did the wrong thing at some point of time. Governors in proposing budgets, Democrats in compromising their principles, everybody in mortgaging our future. I'm prepared to say no. In fact, I may be the only candidate who's prepared to say no. It's great to be with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.